Hello everyone, I'm Brianna Bartolone and today I'm going to be talking about animal testing, the facts behind it, and solutions. So I first wanted to start off talking about Twitter because I figured everyone has either heard of Twitter or has a Twitter. And I have seen so many videos on Twitter of animals being abused, which I know isn't exactly animal testing, but it might as well be because animal testing is abusing animals. And if you find the videos of animals being abused disturbing on Twitter, then animal testing should be disturbing to you as well because they do so many tests that hurt animals just like those videos do. And the reason why it should affect you is because we do need animals on this earth to keep our earth alive and healthy. They help the ecosystem, they help the environment outside, they help even us. Like we have animals in our houses for good feelings and stuff like that. So we need animals in our lives. So today I'll be telling you guys about the facts of animal testing and how you guys can actually help. So I found a source called aldf.org, and they stated, according to the US Food and Drug Administration, also known as the FDA, just 8% of drugs tested on animals are deemed safe and effective for human use. 92% are not. Which means that only 8% of drugs that are tested on animals are usually deemed okay, and the rest of them are not. The 92% doesn't go through as useful for humans. That's a very big difference. And tens and thousands of animals are tested on, and between 85 to 95% of them are not protected by law. Dogs are protected by law, which means if you abused a dog, it's against the law. But mice and rats and bunnies are not protected by law, which means animal testing can use those animals, and sometimes they do use dogs and just do not record it at all. And these animals that aren't protected by law have the same feelings as a dog. If you were to insert cancer into the dog would slowly die just as a rat would. So why are dogs being protected but not the rest of them? The National Institution of Health spends around $14.5 million of taxpayers' money on animal experiments when human cells work actually better than animal cells for testing. My second source that I wanted to discuss was NAVS.org, and they quote, "The animal testing methods are slow and expensive, and safety testing using existing methods cannot keep up with the demand." Which means that the animal testing is actually a very slow process. It takes forever to get actual results. And these products actually kill over half the animals that are tested. And animals can respond to certain reactions different than humans, which can make the experience not effective. My source number 3 is FAUNALYTCS.org, and they state, in the US, researchers are not required to report the number of rats, mice, and birds used in experiments. These species combined make up an estimated 95% of all animals used in research. So the animal testing industry is not required to tell anyone how many animals they are using. And that sounds horrific because they could just be killing all these animals and no one would really know because they do not need to record it. But the amount of animals and bred and raised in a lab for testing is around 115 million to 125 million, and there are approximately 143 animal testing faculties just in California. So that just shows how many animals are being killed off every day, every hour probably. My source number 4 I found is DoSomething.org, and they stated, according to the Human Society, registration of a single pesticide requires more than 50 experiments and the use of as many as 12,000 animals. So they have to experiment on an animal 50 times and use about 12,000 animals to do so. And 90% of the animals that die due to the animal testing are not even counted as the experiment. So if the animal dies, they don't record that the animal died, they just start all over. And that's pretty terrible if you think about it. My source number 5 is PETA.org, and they quote, The lack of environment and the stress of their living situation cause some animals to develop types of behaviors such as spinning in circles, rocking back and forth, pulling out their own fur, and even biting themselves. So these animals are already tortured before they're even actually experimented on. They actually go nuts in their cage, and that actually can affect the experiments. If they experiment on an animal that's already mentally wronged, then how can they get the right results for these results? So why would they even use animals to do so? And my sixth source is aboutanimaltesting.co, and they quote, "Animal testing can occur virtually anywhere in the research process, although it is usually does occur prior to drug testing in humans." So that means they usually use the animals for testing after they've tested it on humans, which makes no sense because if it worked on a human, then why would they use it on animals? And that just shows that at this point they're not even really needing animal testing. They're just kind of doing it because they can. And like I said earlier, that is cruelty to animals, and we do need animals on this earth for us to survive, for us to have a healthy world. And animals can't even help for themselves. They can't decide if they want to be tested on or not. I know it sounds silly, but it is the truth. How would you feel if you were just being tested on and you couldn't say anything? You had no rights. So some solutions that can help are researchers might be able to use existing data to create very accurate simulations that can run repeatedly, so we can use technology to do testings instead of animal testings. We can also use human volunteers, which is a little unethical because, like I said, you don't want to test on really anything. Like, what if you test on a human and it went wrong and they died? That's awful. But if someone volunteers to do that, that is a solution. And studying the way cells react in a test tube instead of using a human or an animal is also a really good solution. But solutions you can do is you can stop using animal testing products. It usually says on the back of the product that if it's not animal testing, and if it doesn't say, it probably is, but you can look it up. You can pledge to a foundation online. I found hundreds online. And you can donate to a foundation that is against animal testing. All of those are great, and like I said before, animals are very important for our world, and we do need animals for our ecosystem and our world to run perfectly. And so if you have any type of ways you can help that, I seriously think you should do it. And thank you for listening. Have a great day.